Good afternoon, everyone. This is a fantastic panel. I think you cannot get any better people to talk about e-mobility than the folks sitting here. We were having a conversation before we started this panel, and I'll tell you if that's anything to go by, this is going to be a really interesting chat. I think this is no surprise that e-mobility in the two-wheelers, it is a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. You either are on it or you're going to miss the boat. What we are going to use this panel to kind of help us address is sort of on two fronts. One is on the demand side. How does the panel here see the demand developing for electric two-wheelers in the Indian context? And then on the supply side, we'll talk a bit on the technology development within the Indian landscape and how things are developing and how much of indigenous technology is being developed in the market today. We'll also look at the impact this is going to have downstream in terms of distribution and service. Is the current model of dealership still going to be relevant in the e-mobility times is something that we'll talk. And we'll also touch on the policy front, which obviously is always a touchy matter as to what government is doing and what government is not doing. So let me maybe start a discussion with Tarun, Kapil, and Vijay, essentially trying to understand how do you see sort of the demand for electric two-wheelers growing? What are some of the key enablers for you in the Indian context? Is it just about the product, or do you need to build a larger ecosystem, and do you need to build it by yourself without any sort of government intervention? Tarun, you can maybe start.
Sure. So we launched only recently, it's been 2.5 months. We're seeing we're only present right now in Bangalore. That's the only place we are offering test rides and taking orders from. We're seeing a phenomenal amount of demand. We are having thousands of test rides happening at the experience center. At this rate, the big theme that we're really realizing is that the thesis when we started Ather was that the market first and foremost needs good and credible products, right? Products that can compete with a petrol scooter in terms of performance, build quality, reliability, everything. And that's what's really coming out in every single conversation. Everybody who's coming to our experience center, and largely what we're also hearing from the industry, is that that's possibly the biggest driver for anybody to really consider the vehicle or place an order today. So we believe the demand for electric vehicles, so a lot of people say electric vehicles is going to be a segment. We strongly believe that electric vehicles are not going to be a segment. Electric vehicles are going to be vehicles tomorrow. And that by definition means you've got to build really credible products so they can replace the current incumbent products out on the road. Kapil, Vijay, your views on this?
Yeah. Hi. I think we've not launched yet, but what we've done is so there's a theory, how do you understand? It's a chicken and egg problem. So the idea is to show the product first. And then that is what we did. We unveiled the product like a year back, and we understood what would be the demand. So it is not you can't say, oh, these number of pre-interest would translate into this, but you know what's happening where, who's booking the vehicles, people are talking about you, they actually interact with you now. The point is, earlier it was, launch the product and see if it works or not. Now, the perspective is, talk to the customer early on, and then understand what he wants, and then you might tweak the product accordingly. This is helping both ways, because now you can understand what the customer wants. Second thing is, because a lot of people don't understand unveil and launch, so the time in between that is a lot of hard hitting. When does it launch? When does it? So that is happening. But I think taking the positive point is customer knows what he wants. He might not know completely, but you can then correlate and say, okay, this is what you're looking at. Sure. And yeah.
Just one data point there. The demand for, like, in case we are in the midst of the two-wheeler industry here, so I just want to make this point. In case there is confusion, customers are incredibly interested in buying electric two-wheelers, right? When we launched, we were honestly a little tentative. We did not want to keep pre-orders open beyond like a month or two's delivery time. Right now, we are offering delivery times of 10 months, right? And we are still getting orders at the same pace, right? So, same point, there is a strong demand for electric vehicles. If you build something that can match the performance of current petrol vehicles, and if it's electric, honestly, the acceleration, the overall ride response is going to be so beautiful, customers will fall in love with it, right? Sure. And that's when the total cost of ownership and all the other math starts coming in, and you know, it just sort of lubricates the entire decision like crazy. But there is already demand that we are seeing building up very strong. Granted, we are in one city, but we see a very good trend building up there.
I think Tarun and Kapil have covered most of the things. We showcased our vehicle at Auto Expo, and you know, I second Tarun that interest level were tremendous. You know, we have to we were taking some interest. We have to close it in the next 2 days. One thing is that IC engine vehicle, they have reached their plateau in terms of performance, riding comfort, selling behavior, each and everything. The whole ecosystem has reached a plateau now. You really can't take it to the next level. There has to be a lot of things which needs to be done. But in electric, the whole segment is vacant as such. So be it the vehicle, you know, you can get better performance in electric. There can be much more features, connectivity, each and everything. On the user experience side, you can change the way how people, you know, buy this vehicle, ride this vehicle, get maintenance done at their home, and finally dispose of this vehicle. So the probabilities in electric vehicle are immense. You know, you need to challenge those things. You need to come out with better solutions. And product can't be compromised. Product can't be compromised. It has to be a better product than in terms of performance at least than any IC engine which is in market. So demand, it's going to increase. You know, you are giving better products, people will, it will be a kind of wave reaction. You give a better product, some people will buy it, and again, you know, you create some infrastructure, more people will come into the trap. So it's going to explode slowly and slowly. Yeah.
Excellent. So I think the bottom line, clearly what the panel is talking about is, I think the product is at the heart of everything. There seems to be, or there is good demand for electric two-wheelers in the market. If you have a great product, I think the market is yours to kind of own. We'll kind of want to touch base, and maybe Ayush can come in here in terms of, do you still think the regular challenges of range anxiety, the infrastructure not being there, are going to be impediments for growth of this two-wheeler market? And maybe from your perspective, what are your views on that?
So coming back to range anxiety and everything, so what is the most important thing which a consumer should look into it, but somewhere it is missing. If you see the average speed and the average running of a consumer, how much kilometer he runs on an average of around 30 to 40 kilometers in a day. But range anxiety comes into the picture because he feels that the vehicle, once he takes out, it should be sufficient enough that he should not face any challenges while he is driving on road. That's why he thinks that the infrastructure is required. But if you see from the other perspective, kind of range the vehicle is providing right now, no one is talking who is just sitting across the panel. No one is providing anything less than 100 kilometers, 110 kilometers in a range. So that range anxiety gets immediately addressed, but you can't, but here we are playing with the thought process, what a consumer is going on the back of his mind, that he will get out of power, what will happen if he is going out of power, what exactly he will do, because the battery when it is going to be charged, whether he has an onboard charger or not, he is going to take almost a minimum 2 to 3 hours to charge. So that kind of question always comes into the system, into the mind of the consumer. To overcome those kind of challenges, we talk about ecosystem, which can only give them a feeler, yes, there are things available where they can charge. But actually, if you see, at the end of the day, he will not require any charging, because a consumer out of 100, one only person goes for almost, long ranges requirement, and he knows when he is going to use that. So we are trying to fight with something where a person who is going